Hello, my name is Matthew Gonzalez. I am a GEARUP tutor at Eastwood Middle, and today I will be talking to you about x-intercepts and y-intercepts. To get started, first we are going to talk about why algebra is so important. And one reason is it's a prerequisite for advanced training. When you go for jobs, when you go looking for jobs, or if you want a job in certain areas, it's good to have good math skills. Also in science, when you're doing some sort of project or maybe anything that concerns science in real life, it's good to know algebra skills, as well as in your everyday life when maybe if you're working on a car, math skills are required when doing certain things. So that those are good skills to have. Also in if you're going to go buy a phone or something, it's good to know basic math so you could decide if you're really getting a good deal, or maybe if you want to see how one phone compares to the other, you add things, subtract things, and you get to see what's going on with math. And with that being said, we are going to talk about what intercepts are. And it's really basic. Basically, the x-intercept is the point where a line crosses the x-axis, which is you can see in the two graphs. The x-axis is the horizontal line, and then the y-intercept is the point where a line crosses on the y-axis, which is the vertical line. So as you can see in the top left graph, the x-intercept is 6, x being 6 and the y being 0. And then you have the y-intercept being -3 with x being 0 and -3 being the y-intercept in the top left graph. And as you can see there's the line going through both intercepts. That's how you know they are the x and y intercept. And then same thing with the bottom graph, basically saying the same thing. You have your x-intercept and your y-intercept. Next, we will go on to what you need to know about, solving for x and y intercepts. What you need to know. Basically, the key is realizing that the x-intercept is the point where y is equal to 0, and the y-intercept is where x is equal to 0. So what that means, so if you get some sort of equation asking you for the x-intercept, for example, on the left equation, you need to look for the x-intercept. So like I said, the important thing to know is if you're looking for the y-intercept, x is going to equal to 0. So you substitute y with 0 and you work out the equation. And as you can see, as it goes step by step, you get x equals 2, and you get your point on the graph being x for 2 and your y 0. And then at the bottom, you can see you have your graph of your x-intercept. And same thing with the y-intercept. If you're looking for it, you're going to let x be 0, solve the equation, and you get your y-intercept and you plot them on the graph. And there you can see in the graph below, you have your x and y intercept for this particular equation. Next, we will talk about intercepts from a table. So if you're working to find intercepts from a table, it's basic as well. They give you a table and you just graph the points. So for the first one, you have -1 and -12 being the first one, and you would just plot those on the graph. But you use the same skills for this as we did before, as in the equations. The x-intercept is the point where y is equal to 0, and y-intercept is where x is equal to 0. So as we can see here, they gave us y is equals to 0. So that's how we know we have our x-intercepts, because y is equal to 0. So 7 is our x-intercept. And then if we want to look for our y-intercept, basically we just have to do a little bit more math and input the 0 in the graph and do some basic math and just see the pattern and what's changing. And that's how we find our x and y intercepts from a table. And finally, in conclusion, we have a sample problem here for you to look at in case you need any more help. It's with the equations. You get your x and y intercepts. And if you have any more questions, go to tutor.com Your username is the student ID and your password is Ysleta GU. So thank you for viewing my video. If you have any more questions, like I said, tutor.com, and goodbye.